Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia. Welcome back to another legendary early game playbook video. Our guide today will cover the coalition member Gongsun Zan, the Iron Fist General. If we take a look on the map here, he starts in the northeast corner of the map, and his starting situation is given a normal rating in the game. His character's specialization is a vanguard who excels at breaking through enemy troops, however weaker against other generals, Beth group with retinues of shock cavalry and polearm cavalry, and his personal trait gives him plus 50% reinforcement range, plus 12% armor for all shock cavalry. Nothing too game breaking here to exploit, and Gongsun Zan is the one faction in the game that doesn't have a unique resource bar. What he has instead is he has a military government structure that gives him 5 additional administrator spots. These are called inspectors in the game, and they are pseudo administrators that are available from turn 1. Very powerful positions, gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of building up your commandery with different focuses. However, because you have these 5 additional inspector slots, you are limited to the number of regular administrators you can have, and the playstyle focus for Gongsun Zan is a balanced military approach. And because he doesn't have anything fancy in terms of his bonuses and faction specialization, Gongsun Zan is going to play pretty straightforward in the game. And his unique resources, features here, he has 2 unique units in the White Horse Raiders and the White Horse Fellows. The White Horse Fellows are the upgraded version of the White Horse Raider. Both of these are mounted archer units. This one's available to all characters from rank 3, and this one's available once your characters hit rank 6. Both of these are very mobile skirmisher units, very nice to whittle down the enemy, and they're also very good at charging. They have very good charge damage for what they are. So you can definitely look to abuse these once you gain control of many of the available horse pastures on the map, which would then make these units very cost efficient. And then he has a unique building here, the military government. It's nothing too special. It does give a little bit of public order, so you can definitely use this to replace the temple if you don't have that big of a public order issue. In terms of noteworthy characters, you do start out with one of the best characters in the game. You have Zhao Yun. He's a unique sentinel, a very, very good duelist. I'm sure many of you who've been fanboy since Dynasty Warriors series know he's the poster boy of that series. So let's jump into the game and check everything out. Once again, we're going to be playing this on legendary difficulty with 40-minute battle timer. So let's jump in here and see how to start an early game with Gongsun Zan. Alrighty, we loaded up in game here, and let's take a look. Our first mission, like many other factions, is to defeat the army in front of us, which is a Han faction army, which means we are enemies with Dongzhuo, which makes perfect sense since we're part of the coalition. Let's take the ancillary item. We got a bunch of things. Okay, so we got a book of songs, trader, stone horse, iron archer. Okay, let's distribute these real quick. The items we always have is the devious attendant, which is nothing too special here. I guess we'll give him the trader, because the trade influence is on the leader. Actually, yeah, this works. And then we'll give this stat to him. Give a little bit more authority points, hoping to give more satisfaction. This is one of the key weaknesses of Gongsun Zan's faction. Because he's a vanguard, he doesn't start with a lot of authority points. It's a decent amount. 93 is nothing to scoff at, but you're going to have a lot of satisfaction issues in your early game. So you can resolve that by promoting people or getting the right items on people. Zhao Yun over here. We'll give him more expertise stat. And Song Jingting, who is our wife, we're going to give her the devious attendant, and I guess we'll give her the horse. Actually, we don't need to give her the horse. Maybe give it to him, because we're going to recruit him onto the field soon. So I guess before we start, we should take a look at the situation here we are at. We are at the northeast corner of the map, but we're not at the tip of the corner, which is owned by Gongsun Du. He also owns the entire commandery here, so 2 pieces of land. Aside from that, there's the Han Empire right here, and below us, to our west, is a faction called Liu Yu, who is our former boss, or basically our boss historically, but in the game it's kind of divided up into two factions. Gongsun Du and Gongsun Zan, although they have the same surname of Gongsun, are not related. There's no relationship. He is from a well-known clan. We are from a nobody family. We worked our way by suppressing the Yellow Turban rebellions and beating back the nomads to make a name for ourselves as a general under Liu Yu. And then we saw a political opportunity where we kind of entrapped him in a ploy and got him killed. And then we took over this whole region. And that's kind of our upstart. And Gongsun Zan's more well known in popular culture because of his relationship with Zhao Yun and with Liu Bei down here, because Liu Bei and Gongsun Zan were formerly students. They were classmates. Gongsun Du was actually the much more successful Gongsun member in the Three Kingdoms period. Because his location in the northeast corner, no one really bothered much with him. He's far away from many of the conflict, and he even expanded very deep into Korea, or modern-day Korea. So with that said, we have to deal with these armies in front of us. Typically, we want to start by getting a trade route out there, but if we take a look at the diplomacy screen, Liu Yu, although we're not at war, absolutely hate us. There's past hostilities, -88, personal rivalry, -50. He will not talk to us, right? He will start a war with us pretty much any chance he can get. And if we talk about him as a faction, historically, the reason why the two of them don't get along, even though they're like a boss and general kind of relationship, he was the administrator of a whole province, the You province, or in Chinese we call Youzhou, but in the game it's broken down into just the commandery. But if you look at our name, we are starting at You Beiping. It's 3 words. Beiping is the former name of modern-day Beijing, so this is where the capital of China is today. You is the name of the province it's under, so technically Liu Yu should have been the boss of this whole region, and we were just working under him at the time. But in the game, kind of divided Youzhou up into smaller pieces. So he won't talk to us. Hanfu is much down to the south of us, and he's going to be the center of our first dilemma. If we remember when we played Yuan Shao's faction early game playbook, we saw that there was a early dilemma whether or not to confederate Hanfu or not, and that was triggered by a story that I described then as Gongsun Zan and Yuan Shao working together to split up Hanfu's land. This was a ploy by Yuan Shao, who asked Gongsun Zan to come in and help attack Hanfu. Gongsun Zan, being the idiot that he is, agreed and just started attacking Hanfu. Yuan Shao didn't make a move at the beginning. Hanfu, seeing that he's getting attacked by this, very hard-line general from the north, decides to just ask Yuan Shao, confederate us, please. We'll join you. And Yuan Shao, not having to waste any manpower, agrees. It takes over all of Hanfu territory. And Gongsun Zan feels super betrayed and enter into a conflict with Yuan Shao, which Gongsun Zan historically will lose and die, actually. So Gongsun Zan's chapter in the Three Kingdoms period is very small. But like I said, because his relationship with Zhao Yun and Liu Bei, his status in popular culture is much higher than it is. He actually died really feebly, burned himself alive to prevent being captured. Very, very poor ending for him. But we're going to do a much better job with his faction, so not to worry. So we have to open up a trade route with our only friendly faction in Gongsun Du. So we need to capture this county up here. So let's start by fighting. Now obviously you can fight this out on the battlefield to reduce your losses, to get a couple extra decimal point more of favorable deals with Gongsun Du once you negotiate a trade agreement, but I don't really see a need. We need to save some time, so we're just going to delegate here. Alright, pretty easy fight. Let's pick up the income. Alright, we got Taste of Victory. Our next mission is to capture this county up here. It's an iron mine county. So let's just continue. And same thing, we're also going to delegate here to save time. You can definitely run your 2 legendary generals into the iron mine, wipe out all these units as long as you don't rush into one of these braced spear units or Z units and lose your mount. That would be disastrous. But you can definitely wipe this out with 0 loss, but we're just going to delegate here. No worries. It's not going to be a big difference when you negotiate a trade deal. Alright. We're just going to occupy. Alright. So we have your economy grows as the next mission whenever we complete a building. But most importantly, we're going to come in and negotiate a trade deal. So let's get a trade deal. So even with 2 delegate, taking the most loss possible, basically, we still have a 2.0 deal here, which we can ask for some money, or we can see if he got any really nice ancillary items. Not really. His starting items pretty bad. So we just want some money. Yep, 55 is pretty good. Now, Gongsun Du is eventually going to backstab us in the beginning of the game. So our entire early game strategy is to be patient and wait for someone to backstab us. It could be Gongsun Du, it could be Liu Yu. We're basically waiting to see which side things go. So because we are abandoning, or we kind of delegated this, we are going to heal up our generals by disbanding all their units again. The reason why we're doing this is Gongsun Zan's army is just too expensive. It's too premium for the early game, right? You have the Z infantry, right? You don't need a Z infantry in the early game. Militia is fine. You have the level 6 ranked, the White Horse Fellows, 290 gold per turn, too expensive. Lance cavalry instead of militia cavalry, once again, too expensive. Let's get rid of these guys. Let's recall them. Okay, we gotta wait a little bit to recall Zhao Yun though. Let me explain. So let's recall our Gongsun Zan first. So why can't we recall Zhao Yun right away? And that's because we can have a administrator slot. If we open up the court screen, we see that we have a role here that's not available for any other factions. These inspector roles are the faction unique bonus for Gongsun Zan. You have the military inspector, which is only can be taken on by vanguard units. The effect is very similar to administrator. You have all your normal administrator stats. You have your 30% corruption reduction. You have your no desire for office until level 4. But the difference here is it's more specialized. So the military inspector will give that commandery minus 15% recruitment cost, as well as minus 1 turn construction time for all military buildings or red buildings. So you see here, it's much more specialized. Logic follows for government inspectors. These are only available to commanders. You have plus 25% increase to peasantry income and minus 1 turn for all government or yellow buildings. And following that logic, industry inspectors are given to sentinels, which is why we save Zhao Yun, because if we recalled him right away, he goes on this 1 turn cooldown and you can't select him here. So we want to put Zhao Yun, which will give us additional 25% industry income bonus, as well as minus 1 turn for artisan or purple buildings, as well as the fact that Zhao Yun has minus 25% construction costs based on his high expertise stat, and population growth based on his resolve stat, and public order based on his traits. So let's pop him in here. We only have 1 commandery, so we can only put 1 inspector. If we have multiple commanderies at the beginning of the game, let's say we had 5 commanderies, you can pop all 5 in, assuming you have the right classes available, right? Agriculture requires a champion, economy requires a strategist. So we don't have that available, but if you did, these are not restricted by rank, right? Administrators you can only have after you reach 2nd marquise. So here, we also need to take a look at our family tree. We already talked about our wife, that's why we give her our item. She is currently not our heir. Our heir is our 16-year-old son, Gongsun Xu, who will come of age in 10 turns, but he's a sentinel, so it's not like sentinels are great heirs. Even though strategists are also not great heirs, we might as well put her in as heir. It's free, and we get to have 10 turns of extra bonuses and stats and extra slots to put in items in case we have, faction-wide items that could be added. So let's make her our heir. Now that we have done that, and we talked about inspectors, we can look at our roster a little bit more, and Zhao Yun can actually come back. We can actually recall him now. So we have these, generic characters here If we take a look at them, 200 salary, pretty high. He doesn't have any traits and bonuses that can help him as administrator. Because we have inspectors for every role, we want to have a general of every class that can be good administrators in terms of their traits and skill. Since these guys don't qualify, what we do is we just clean house. We get rid of these two characters right here. Guanjing will keep because we're going to use him as our third guy in the army, right? Gongsun Zan Zhao Yun will always be an army. Guanjun will be our third guy in the army. The reason is because he has resourcefulness, so he will have flaming shots available from right away on all his trebuchets. That's why we're going to keep him. He also has some decent traits that could potentially make him administrator going forward, but most likely not. He's going to be fighting with our first army. So our heir and our wife is going to pop into here and do assignments for us to boost commerce income, which is the main focus of this commandery, right? It has a trade port and an inn, level 2 inn already built, so she can come in here and boost income right away, starting next turn. Now you might wonder, why did we put Zhao Yun here? Because he is Sentinel, which boosts industry income. That's because not only does he boost Sentinel industry income, he also makes these buildings cheaper and quicker to build. And the buildings we're missing here is potentially a state workshop and a private workshop. Since we don't need to build any more blue buildings, it makes sense to put Zhao Yun in here first. Later on, we're going to shift Zhao Yun to perhaps Liaoxi, which is, more of a pure industry town with a tool maker, but that's for another time. We could build the state workshop. You might be tempted to do so on turn 1 because it's one turn. You get the discount from the administrator already, but actually we don't want to do that because doing so will speed up it will activate our quest right away at the beginning of turn when we have no unit on the field. And the following mission is the mission that asks you to recruit 2 more units than what you already have on the field. So that one we want to save when we are trying to push out a whole army. We're going to just recruit our generals back next turn. So because we're not in a rush to build out to activate your economy growth, what we're going to do instead is we're actually going to upgrade the town. Normally this costs 2,000 gold, not recommended to do. Because we have Zhao Yun as our administrator, which is lowering the cost by 25% just purely from his expertise stat, we can just pop this in right here. So we're going to delay your economy growth for 4 turns, but it's going to be more efficient once we do activate that, because then we can focus ourselves on building the state workshop twice. Okay, so that's pretty much everything for turn 1. We can continue here after we get rid of the characters. Yeah, I forgot about that part. And the reason why is because right now they're unsatisfied with us, right? This guy right here. So that's causing a faction-wide low satisfaction, which is hurting our character experience, military supplies, and corruption. So another reason why we should get rid of these guys. Release from service. Release from service also saves us 300 gold per turn of salary. So kind of help us out there as well. Let's go to the next turn. All right, turn 2. Turn 2, we got some new characters available. Now we do want to keep an eye on to see if we get any good characters that have good administrator stats. We need characters from every class in this case. So these guys don't qualify, so we can ignore them. We're going to pop out a new army. We're going to recruit our generals fully healed. We're also going to pop Guanjing out as well. We are going to get rid of his archers. Instead, what I'm going to do here is we're just going to get rid of his units. It's fine. We're going to start marching towards the trade port over here. There's a reason why we're doing that. We're going to take over it with just 3 generals. Not hard to do. Many of you looking at the map might think Bohai is our logical first target because fishing port produces food. And if you look at this northeast corner, none of these commanderies produce food, right? Trade port commandery, iron mine commandery, tool maker commandery, horse pasture commandery, no food. So that seems like a restrictive factor to how Gongsun Zan's faction is going to grow. But Bohai is a trap. The second you take Bohai's fishing port, you expose yourself to the south and to Hanfu, to Yuan Shao. and it's going to make your early game much tougher because you're going to be dealing with full stacks of units from Yuan Shao repeatedly. Instead, what you should do is bid your time, consolidate your power in the northeast corner, namely wait for Gongsun Zan to betray you, wait for you to crush Liu Yu, who will declare war on you eventually sometime during this process. So that's our goal. We don't have to go down this way. The way to work around no food is don't upgrade any of your commanderies past the large town. It's going to restrict your income. It sounds kind of sucks that you can't upgrade your towns past, the small. You can't reach the small city because that costs 2 food, but that's fine. And there's some other ways to get food. Yodro is an option, and inspector is another option. We'll talk about it when it comes up. And at the same time, we're also not upgrading the iron mine. We talked about this, I guess, way past when Liu Bei's campaign, is that upgrading this to tier 2 for the extra 100 industry income is just not worth it because, it's cost way too much to upgrade right now. We're just going to hold it off. Level 1's fine. There's also the risk of Liu Yu attacking your iron mine and taking it over if you're not careful. So just keep it at level 1. Don't invest any money into it. Just focus on getting Liu Bei Ping up to speed and getting a first army out as soon as possible. So let's continue. Alright, it's winter. We're going to march over here and attack Liu Bei Ping. It's key that when you recruit this army to move it a little bit, or else it's going to be a 3-turn journey. I mean, technically it was a 3-turn journey, but it'll take you like another turn to reach the port if you don't move that little distance last turn. Oh, we got a horse. Oh, this is nice. So let's pop this instinct horse on Gongsun Zan. And that's it. Nothing else to do. We're still waiting for this to finish. Alright, Sun Jian has died to his event. We got another devious attendant. I don't even think we have... I guess we can put it on him. And let's see. Cai Yang. We don't really need sentinels because we already have a sentinel inspector in Zhaoyun. So we're going to skip out on him. And we also have a sentinel in our son that's coming of age very soon. Alright, this battle makes no difference whether you fight it on the battlefield or delegate because it's going to be 3 generals running in to kill these guys anyways. So since the AI knows we'll win this, we'll just delegate here. Alright, easy win. Now here is where it gets a little interesting. You could loot and occupy. It will reduce, you'll get you a little bit more income. That's a big benefit here. And it will reduce the settlement level. Right now it's a level 1 trade port. So reducing it would reduce it to level 0, or aka raising it completely. It'll become an empty commandery. The reason why we might ever consider this is because the AI, the Han Empire AI, will actually be aggressive here and try to retake this commandery from you, which we can't really defend. So there is an argument to be made to loot and occupy here, but I tend to just occupy and keep as much income as possible. Right, this commandery still gives you 80 income a turn for every turn you have it. You might have it for 2 turns, maybe it's only 100 income extra, but it also gives you a discount on agricultural building, which I guess we're not building, but just I tend to keep it. I don't want to raise stuff, but raising it is definitely a legit option that you could consider. Now, because he's so weak, you might be tempted to recall him, but I tend to not want to always keep the army on the battlefield. We just will march them back slowly and let him heal up. The reason here is Liu Yu is basically judging your strength, and every time you seem weak, he will basically declare war on you. It's really random on when he might declare war. He might declare war right at the end of this turn. Some gameplay that will happen, and that's fine. We can let them come attack us in the town. We can loop them around the town. We've done this more than once, and we can hold them off that way. Or if he waits a little bit, then we can build up our army soon and destroy him the regular way. Speaking of things to do here, since this is our first spring, we can look at our reform tree. So this is our reform tree. Our free reform is the regional commissioner, which gives -8% cost reduction. There is an argument to be made here for Gongsun Zan where we should rush regional levy. This is the 10% replenishment rate. It will only take 5 more reforms to get there, and 10% replenishment is very good in the early game. And many people suggest to rush this. Typically, I've always gone with the Onyx Dragon rush here for the trade agreement and the early commerce and industry buildings that's unlocked through this path. But here, it doesn't really make sense to go this way because we don't have any trade targets that we can have. Everyone hates us. And we have a lot of turns where we're just waiting at the early game. So we can actually afford to get this pretty early without impacting our buildup, because we also can't upgrade our settlements very high. So let's go down this way. And we have the 2 branch option here. This is the most useful one early on. So I tend to recommend going down this branch because the -2 mustering turn will help your first full army get up to speed much quicker. And that's kind of what you want with this reform, is to have your army always healing and up to speed quickly. So let's start by getting garrison conscripts, and we'll work our way to this. And that's pretty much it. We're going to activate this mission next turn, and let's see how things go. Alright, so Gongsun Zan is offering us a military access for money. We're not going to agree to anything he says. We're happy with the non-aggression plus trade right now. He will eventually backstab us, and we're waiting for him to backstab us. If he waits too long, it's actually going to make our gameplay much more difficult, so we're just going to reject. Alright, so your economy grows is activated. This is the mission we kind of want to avoid on turn 2, right? If we built the state workshop right away, we would have gotten into trouble with this because we would have had 0 armies on the field, and recruiting just 2 people would have activated this growing might. We wanted to save this, right? It's another extra 10% replenishment and bonus experience for 3 turns when we have our full army out. We have our first challenge issue is to destroy Liu Yu. We'll definitely do this and get this bonus eventually. And our first dilemma is upon us. So this is pretty interesting dilemma. We talked about the opposite side of this dilemma back when we played Yuan Shao. The idea here is Yuan Shao really needed food, right? Yuan Shao needed food from Han Fu's territory. Han Fu traditionally traded food with Yuan Shao, but Yuan Shao got tired of being just a trade partner. He wanted to take the food production over for himself. So not wanting to come off as this treacherous person who just backstabs Han Fu, Yuan Shao writes a letter to us, right? To invite us to attack Han Fu together, to split the land together. But sadly, after we initialized our attack on Han Fu, not able to fight us back, decided to just confederate themselves with Yuan Shao. And Yuan Shao happily took over this bloodless revolution that was basically masterminded by them in the first place, and kind of backstabbed us and declared war on us right after. So this is kind of a trap on both sides. It's asking us to become basically the treacherous side. You see, both options may be seen as treachery, whether to backstab our boss or to attack Han Fu, part of the story. But luckily, they give us a third option of bid our time, right? Patience is a virtue. We're waiting for people to backstab us. We're not going to be backstabbing people. Conversely, I have tried both routes. It doesn't really change much of how we approach the story. This is probably the most difficult option because you'll be entering into a conflict right away, and since we currently have no army, we are forced to basically lose the Iron Mine and then run around his army around our capital to beat him. It's doable, but it's not comfortable. This one is the story option. If you follow this, what happens next turn is that Han Fu confederates with Yuan Shao, and Yuan Shao declare wars on us. But since we didn't take Bohai, there's still a nice buffer zone that will buy us some time before Yuan Shao's army will come. And by the time he comes, we'll have an army to deal with him. So not a big deal. And we also get a bonus diplomatic boost with our boss Liu Yu over here. But we're just going to bid our time. We're just going to not piss off anyone and wait for people to backstab us. Namely, Gongsun Zan. When are you going to fight us? Right. Let's get in here. And we have your economy grows triggered. We're going to upgrade our state workshop. Now it's super cheap. 688 with that bonus and our inspector bonus. So that's it. We're not upgrading the iron mine. We're also not upgrading the trade port. We also have our first level up. We're going to go for judgment over here, which will give us 1 additional trade agreement. This is kind of the only thing she can help us do. because the only thing other than that she can provide is one available army. So technically, aside from 10% character experience based on her background of being a visor, and impeccable gives +3 public order, she's pretty useless as a heir. If you can find a better wife that pops up from the recruitment pool, definitely consider divorcing her in the mid game and using her as a marriage bait to get you some legendary characters. But at this point, she's a decent heir, and she can also produce you more kids, because Sentinel kid is also not a good heir. But preferably you'll get a commander kid somehow. And that's it. Let's continue. Alrighty, next turn. Not much is happening. We got Xiahou Yuan. Okay, so since he's a unique character, I think we're just gonna grab him. Not really material for administrator, but can definitely put him in a second army, especially since we're eventually going to focus in on cavalry. You can also upgrade this, and that's all we have to build. We don't have to rush this at all. Level 2 buildings is as high as we can reach when it's a large town, since we can't upgrade things. Alright, now we are back in our capital. We're just going to wait till basically for next spring. When it hit next spring, when we get that reform, we can pop out a whole army here. Right now, we're just going to wait, bid our time. Let's continue. Alright, Han Fu is giving us a non-aggression pack if we pay him this much money. Too much. Let's reject. Alright, so here in autumn of year 191, we see Taishi Ci's force, very impressive size force, is coming to attack Liu Beiping and taking it back. So we talked about perhaps a rationale for looting it after taking it over, right? It will raise it to level 0 because this force is on its way to reclaim it. It's one of the few times they have aggressive Han Empire force. They will take Liu Beiping back, and that's okay. We're just going to lose it. Losing this commandery will give us extra experience actually for losing, which is totally fine. Zhao Yun leveled up. So Zhao Yun's skill tree, let's talk about it real quick, has elemental vigor. This is what makes him such a good duelist. It's very similar to Tenacity of Steel, but it's much better. At phase 5, it gives him unbreakable, melee damage, armor piercing 100%, melee evasion 25%. He basically becomes someone's pretty much unkillable plus adamant resolve, and he has a damaging ability in Flame of Phoenix, so it makes him a very, very strong character. So we're going to work our way over to that. And we got some new characters. Oh my god, look at how many legendary characters we have. Very, very lucky playthrough. Interesting. Okay, I guess, I've never had this happen, but I'll gladly take them. We're not going to showcase them in our playthrough. We're not going to put them into our army instead of, let's say, Guanjing, because you're probably not going to get Guojia, right? But he clearly will be a better replacement than Guanjing, right? You're going to have Burned as a trait. You have the same skill. You have a legendary armor, more stat, more cunning, right? Popping him on, which just makes more sense. But for the sake of playing this as a guide, we're just not going to put these guys on. But very lucky with the amount of guys we've been getting. It also means it's very expensive, but it's fine. Our salary can handle it. Our patient playstyle can also handle it. Let's continue. So Taishi Ci has come to reclaim his land. We'll let him take it. We'll delegate. Alright, we lost the port, and we gained some extra experience for shameful defeat. Dale Chan's part has been triggered, so Dongzhuo is probably going to die soon. He's going to leave eventually. And what's going to happen is that Gongsun Du is likely to reclaim this land if you don't go reclaiming it. And that's fine. We don't need to go reclaiming it because after Gongsun Du takes it over, he'll actually upgrade it for us. And then once he backstabs us, we can take everything back here all nice and upgraded. Save us a little bit of money. Gongsun Zan also gained a level. This one's final rush is kind of useless. So we're going to go all the way across to pick up Flame the Phoenix and reach. Okay. Now got more characters. Ooh. We got Lu Fan. Lu Fan's not that impressive. for this start because Goldmaster is good for Silk and Spice, and we are very far from Silk and Spice, so we're probably not going to recruit him. Xuan Yu Xing, okay. Too bad he doesn't have any bonus to being an administrator. If you see a champion or a strategist that has the skill Abundance unlocked, this gives 5 food, right? As an administrator, this is another way how you can get food production without taking over Bohai, right? You can put them in as an inspector, and you can get food that way. All right. This is winter. We are going to start building up our force starting next turn. Right now, we're pretty much good where we are. Let's continue. All right, spring. We got another stone archer. Just give it to him. Keep him happy. Actually, technically, we could give it to Zhao Yun just for this turn because we're doing recruitment. So the more instinct stat you have, the cheaper it is to recruit. And they add up the instinct bonuses of all 3 generals in your army. So we'll get 2% discount from Zhao Yun, 2% discount from Guanjing, and 9% discount from Gongsun Zan. So 13% discount here, 8% discount from the reform tree, so 21% discount to recruitment. And we can also add this one to make mustering turn faster. So now we can recruit and get an army on the field quickly. So the army we want to have is a pretty standard army and a cheap version of the army that we want to have at the end of the game. Right, we're going with trebuchets, 4-2 ratio with archers. Here, we're going to cheap out a little bit and just go with the militia, 2 of these and 2 of these to counter horse cavalry from the flanks. And we're just going to go with, there's an option where you could go with 6 units of peasant raiders. Because you got the reform that we just picked up, actually unlocks peasant raiders and gives 2 starting rank to peasant recruits. So we could technically recruit them at rank 3, but they're still quite weak. Eventually we want to get, lance cavalry, or even a bit later we want to get cataphracts. We're going to work our way to get regional levy and then work our way to get barbed mounts, which is also the level 5 horse pasture upgrade, which is very key for our playthrough. So instead, what we're going to do is we're just going to pop in these militia units. You can do any number you want. Maybe you want to do 6. You can, you have the money, you can recruit a couple more, but then you'll knock your income to negative. So this army is ready to go here. We're just going to wait for them to muster up and get the replenishment up. It'll be even quicker because next turn we'll activate that mission, give us another 10%. We can't upgrade this town anymore, right? Upgrading to small city is suicide, so we're done with all our buildings as well. We're just going to save money to start attacking now. Let's go on. Alright, this is the mission we're talking about growing might. We get bonus experience and replenishment. We also get the next mission to hold 3 settlements. We only have 2 right now. We can go back and attack Liu Beiping, but in this case where he didn't attack us, we can actually attack him. We don't have any deals with him. It wouldn't be seen as any untrustworthiness on our side. This one's not terrible. Plus 10% income from peasants. And he's very close to getting abundance. But if he had abundance, it would have been better, so maybe not. We're just waiting for a replenishment. Let's continue. Alright, Dongzhuo has died. Good for him. Dongmin has taken over. Alright, we're very close to full replenishment. We don't need the mustering anymore. We will get full anyway, so let's move up close to our attack position. Alright, so now we're making our move on our boss. Our goal is to grab the horse passer here and maybe wipe him out as well, depending on how fast Gongsun Du moves. If he betrays us before then, we can crush his army, take his land, get a peace deal, make him pay us money, and then turn around, crush him. Our goal is to have control of this, right? These three are the key here, right? Having the control of the corner before expanding out. That's kind of our game's play style. And after eventually we gain control of the north, we want to go continue west to grab the other 3 horse pastures for a very, very high discount to cavalry. That's kind of our goal. We've got a couple more level up to our heir. We continue to work our way towards judgment. And Xu Huang's unhappy. So we said this is going to be a frequent issue with this faction. So what we can do is just promote them. Alright, we're good to go. This is also another place where we get food because the AI will build government support and a land development building here. Let's continue. Alrighty, Hanfu. Okay, so people in the north, there's many small factions. There's going to be constant wars going on. Our sons come of age. Good for him. We really have nothing to do for him. If he's renamed heir, you get a little bit more satisfaction boost. But that's about it. Morale boost. I think the wife is a little bit better at this point. We have no deals with him. We can safely declare war with him. This is one of those rare playthroughs where he didn't declare war on us and we had to declare war on him. Usually, just so that everyone's clear of how to play this, he will declare war on you. And if your army is here, he will take this northern route and go here. If your army is here, he will take the southern route and go here. Either way, this town is able to defend itself because you could just loop his army around. A very large town has that advantage. But oftentimes, the second he declares war on you and you don't have any vision on him and you have an army, I just put my army here and ambush, right? We can reach both sides. That way he doesn't see our army. He can just go whichever way he wants and then we'll crush him. We can reach him both ways, basically. The worst thing you want to do is chase him around in a circle here. That's the worst situation. All right, so now we declare war on him. No need to go easy. Obviously, we can fight this on the battlefield. We just bombard the town, right? He'll charge out and we'll crush him. It's not really worth our time. We can delegate. We have the extra replenishment rate from our bonus for that quest. Alright, occupy. And now we have food. Right, not only do we have food, we have an inspector slot, right, where we can put in different generals for different effects. So preferably you want to go with an economy or agriculture one, or like a champion. We do have Guojia here, so maybe we will put Guojia in. We can't put Guanning. Guanning has this -4 food as part of his kit, which is pretty bad. So it doesn't fit because it's commerce income boost, but eventually Guojia can pick up abundance. It'll take him 2 levels and then we get some food, or we can wait, right? Wait for a character that will come with some sort of food trait. So this might seem like a perfect wife, right? She's a peacekeeper, so you get 4 public order. You get, a commander wife with satisfaction boost, and she can give you all these nice commander skill traits. But look here, past loyalties is Dongmin. So Dongzhuo is one of the few factions in the game that starts the game that's able to spy on you. Don't recruit their characters unless they have a grudge against them. This is highly likely to be a spy. Recruiting them and marrying them will just result in your wife running away with your items. Don't do it. Alright, now we're going to wait for someone better here. We have enough food just from these 2 buildings to give this an upgrade, which we're going to do. And we can continue to take the horse pasture. So we can wipe out Liu Yu here. And I think at this point we can actually end our guide because we have a functioning army that can just sweep across. What you have to be careful after you take over Dai here. What my strategy that I think is the best way to play is actually take the horse pasture and then sue for a peace deal, because he doesn't have he will see that you are much stronger than him. He'll take the peace deal, and then he can be the buffer state between you and Zhang Yan over here, right? We're not ready to sweep across west and take this whole line and have this huge big flank on our south. What we want to do is just take the horse pasture, which is what we're interested in the most, get a peace deal, and then turn east, take out Gongsun Zan. If you care about your trustworthiness, then just be patient and wait. He will backstab you, right? He'll send his army down, take Liu Beiping, and then backstab you, or you can take Liu Beiping first, and he will eventually backstab you. It's going to happen. I've never seen him not backstab you, and once he backstab you, you can feel free to attack and fight him, and that's pretty much it. And then once you secure your northeast corner, you have your horse pasture, you can start going south, getting Bohai, getting your food source. This entire commandery is all Bohai, fishing port and city, and they protect you basically as buffers, right? So you're basically having a huge buffer zone here away from Yuan Shao until you're strong enough. Then you can field your second army once you build everything up. You have a very good economic base here, right? You can have 3 administrator commanderies pretty much, right? You want champion here to boost your food production. You want Zhao Yun over here to boost the industry. You want a strategist here to boost the commerce. And if you get Dai, you can put a military guy in there and make this your military outpost, which was, kind of work well with the horse pasture building and also build a bunch of agriculture building as well. So that's kind of how you want to approach the game. And then you want to crush Yuan Shao, get a nice border with the Yellow River, take over this northern zone, and then expand out west. Grab all the rest 3 horse pastures, which will give a total of 80% discount for all your horse units. And then just ride down south and conquer all of China. Should be no problem. Gongsun Zan is very straightforward to play. There's not any fancy mechanisms. And you're basically going to conquer the world with your cavalry. So hope you guys enjoyed this guide. Leave down a comment below to see how you played Gongsun Zan as a faction. I personally think he's quite easy to play. If you just avoid the temptation to take Bohai, your early game is very smooth. And once you take a corner of the map, the rest of the game is very simple going forward. A little announcement to make at the end of this episode. I plan on starting a new Let's Play, a Yellow Turban Let's Play, starting next Monday. It's a pretty rash decision because Creative Assembly recently announced that the new DLC for Total War 3 Kingdom is delayed until Chinese New Year next year, which will be January 25th this year, Year of the Rat. So we won't see a new DLC for another 3 months, so I think I have enough time to do maybe 2 Let's Plays before then. Previously, we expected a DLC around Thanksgiving, so I was saving up for doing a new Let's Play on the new DLC, but since we're not getting that for a while, I figured we are going to start a couple of new DLCs. We definitely want to start with a Yellow Turban DLC because I haven't had a chance to actually showcase Yellow Turban much at all. Previously, I thought the new DLC will be featuring Yellow Turban, so we kind of saved that. So we're going to do a Yellow Turban DLC. I have yet to decide on which faction to do. Leave it in the comment section below to vote on Huang Shao, He Yi, or Gongdu, and we'll decide come Monday. So hope you guys come for that series, and hope you guys enjoyed this very simple guide on Gongsun Zan, who I think is one of the easiest and most straightforward factions in the game. So thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.